In the occupied West Bank, Israeli forces are increasing the number of raids, arresting dozens of Palestinians. Around 400 Palestinians have been detained and at least 55 killed there since last Saturday. Let's go to Imran Khan, who's in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. Imran, this was already the deadliest year in a long time for Palestinians, but 55 killed, 55 Palestinians killed since Saturday. That's a very sharp escalation. Tell us about the latest raids.
Well, the latest raids took place in the last 24 hours. 66 people have been arrested today. They've been arrested by the Israeli military. Remember that the occupied West Bank comes under Israeli military rule, not Israeli civilian rule, and only in the Palestinian areas does the Palestinian Authority writ actually have any effect. So these people are now been taken into Israeli military detention. 470 since Saturday, since October 7th, when Hamas's military operation began. This is a worrying number for the Palestinians. Now, Cyril, it was only a few days ago that here in Menorah Square, in the center of Ramallah, that Hamas actually called a public rally. They were allowed to do that by the Palestinian Authority. There were senior leaders of Hamas leading the prayers for the victims in Gaza. They were doing this publicly, and now the Israelis are going in and arresting members of Hamas. Now, that's only adding to the sense of nervousness here in the occupied West Bank. Remember, Cyril, the occupied West Bank is still under blockade, is blockaded from the Klandia checkpoint, from other checkpoints that actually lead into occupied East Jerusalem, into Jerusalem generally, but you can't move around within the occupied West Bank. And so people are simply staying at home. They're watching the television and they're just incredibly nervous. And they keep telling us, look, if that's happening in Gaza, we're worried that we might be next.
Imran, you're also getting new information on the humanitarian situation in Gaza. What can you share with us?
Well, I can tell you that Mustafa Barghouti, a very senior Palestinian figure, the head of the Palestinian National Initiative, gave a press conference today. He gave some very stark numbers about what was going on within the Gaza Strip, and he also talked about it unfolding into a humanitarian crisis. It's worth taking a listen to him.
What we see in Gaza is unlawful killing of innocent civilians, slaughtering children. 800 Palestinian children have already been slaughtered by Israeli airstrikes. What we see is acts of collective punishment and bombardment. Up till now, the Israeli army and airstrikes have conducted 57 massacres. And I mean by a massacre, the elimination of whole families completely and killing them totally. We already received report that 47 families, and I mean by families, grandfather, grandmother, brothers, sisters, children, 47 families have already been erased from the civil record.
It was very stark numbers there, Cyril, that he was talking about. But what's perhaps slightly more interesting for the international community is that press conference was actually held in English. And that's something you're going to start seeing a lot more of. The Palestinians have realized that they need to get their side of the story out to the international community, and they need to do that in languages other than Arabic. They're not playing to their own domestic audience anymore. It's important, they say, to get those messages out in as many languages as possible. And this has been echoed by Palestinian demonstrators as well. At the German embassy, there was a demonstration yesterday. We were speaking to people there, and they were saying, we simply need to start telling the world our story, our plight, why this happened. This didn't happen in a vacuum rather, and it happened because of 75 years worth of occupation. So expect to see more things like that in English as they try and get their message out.
Imran Khan reporting from Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. Thank you very much, as ever, Imran.